Hi, welcome to episode 541 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarn and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, October 13th. And it feels like the first fall day. It's not super chilly, but it's in the 60s. It's a little overcast. It might rain today. I pulled out my wool socks and wool sweater for the first day, which might be overkill because it may be 75 later, but in the house it's a little chilly. And so I am just enjoying cuddling up and thinking about fall. So how are you? I hope that you're doing well. I had a good weekend. It was a little laid back. I was trying to catch up from being gone all last weekend, but I did get some crafting done this week that makes me very, very happy. And I am exploring lots of new things and just, I don't know, it's an interesting time, in some ways just tuning out the outside world to focus on my own thing, and in some ways, yeah. So today I am trying to foster the spirit of fall by drinking a fall-themed tea. I am almost out. I probably only have one more good serving, but this is Harney & Sons Heirloom Bartlett Pear. I have had this one for a while. It is white tea, pear pieces, apple pieces, peach pieces, nutmeg, ground cinnamon, cinnamon chips, white cornflowers, peach and pear flavor. Contains natural flavors. So, it's lovely, and I'm drinking it today in my new mug from Love is in Every Stitch, or Love in Every Stitch, my new mug from my workplace that I got a few weeks ago. And I am just, like I said, really reveling in the fact that it is a fall day. I know it's kind of glary. I don't have a great way to tune that out, so the broadcast is a little less clear than usual, but yeah, so I am cuddling up and preparing for fall. It's been so interesting because it's been getting a little bit cooler in the mornings, but like yesterday the high was 80, so it certainly hasn't been like cool, and I'm just waiting for that fall moment. The leaves on a few trees are just starting to change, and I'm just hoping that in the next few weeks it will get nice and cool. On Sunday morning, I went out about 8 a.m. and it was 60 degrees, and I took a walk, and it was absolutely perfect because I could walk without getting too hot and sweaty, but I also didn't have to bundle up. I'm looking forward to the fall season and cooler weather. This summer has been hot and long. So let's talk about the knits. I have two projects on the needles, both of which I'm doing okay with, neither of which are like capturing my heart and soul, but that is kind of okay. So I am working on socks for my nephew Miles. These are for Christmas, but I'll give them to him over Thanksgiving because I won't see him for Christmas. And I completed the first sock. I'm really, really happy about it. So this is the first monkey sock for Miles. These are the monkey socks designed by Cookie A. I had to modify the pattern a little bit to make it 456 stitches, but that I did, and they are wild and bright and crazy. And the first one is done, and the ends are even woven in. And I started the second one last night. I have almost nothing done, but I did get the 10 rounds of ribbing at the top of the sock done. So just to prove that there is a second one, the second is on the needle, and my hope is to spend some time working on that this week. The thing that I found out is if you want a knitting project to get done, you have to knit on it. Sitting in the bag doesn't do itself. Anyway, I am knitting with some fun yarn that I got while being a tourist in Kentucky this summer. It is deep dyed yarns. The base is Good Juju, 435 yards, 75, 25 merino nylon in the colorway Beetlejuice. And you can see it is bright and colorful. And I am excited to start the second sock. So I am going to work on that this week, and yeah, so we'll see what happens. So I don't know if I'll get through the entire sock this week. That would be great. I just don't know if I'll put that much time into it because I have other things that I'm working on too. But as long as I finish these socks by the end of the month so I can get started on his sisters, we will be fine. I also did not bring them to show, but I finished the finishing work on both his and his sister's sweaters. I need to wash them today so that I can block them and then package them up and send them off. So I'm excited about that. that did get done this weekend as well, which was on my list. So my next knitting project is one that I am enjoying. And I'm moving along with. It's one that I just cast on recently. This is the Garter Rib Baby Blanket, and it is by Orange Flower Knits. It's a free pattern, and it's linked in the show notes. I am using 2 different yarns. The first one that I am using sort of as my main yarn is Cloudborn Highland DK. I bought this years ago from when it was still Craftsy, and the colorway is Autumn Heather, although here it's just 18108, but it's kind of a pumpkin-y orange colorway. That looks like this. And then I am holding it double-stranded with a fingering weight yarn, lots of bits and bobs left over from my sample knitting for Zen Yarn Garden. And so it is coming out bright and colorful. Well, not bright and colorful, but it is coming out kind of striped and plaid and a little fun and lots of fun colors. So I am having a good time with this one. I am just about to start my 4th skein, and I have 6, but I found a few more on Ravelry, so I'm hoping to get a hold of a few more to make this blanket pretty decent sized. It is very wide. I was aiming for 40 inches wide, and I may have I can't tell. I need to actually measure it, but my hope is to at least make it square, if not making it rectangular. There are quite a few people who have this yarn on Ravelry, so I might see how much I can get and just keep going, and then I will donate this somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but my plan is to ultimately make it a donation. It's just kind of a pleasure. It's a simple knit, just a 2-row repeat, and it will benefit from a blocking because the edges are curling just a little bit, but it is a great project. I have been joining my skeins using magic knots, and so you can see I just have little bits of the magic knots behind. I will weave in these ends. I know magic knots are supposed to hold, but I don't entirely trust them, but that's okay because this is not a ton of ends to weave in. I mean, it is, but also knowing that they're already like joined and that I don't really have to do anything other than weave them in makes it super easy. So I should start doing that soon so that I don't have to do them all at the end. But I just love all the different colors in this blanket. I can't always see them at night when I'm working with them, but it's like all the it's like 6 or 8 colors. I mean, it looks to me, it's kind of like a crayon box to me. There's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, and a little bit of black. And so it's just like tons of fun. And I have some that are like more white with speckled and some that are darker with colors. And it's funny because at night when I knit it, it looks like almost nothing. It just looks orange and white. And then during the day, I see all the colors, like all the pops of green there. So I think this will be a fun one. And like I said, it's getting yarn out of my stash and it's keeping me happy. I am still having thoughts about what exactly I'm going to do for Nanny Swaymo, and I need to kind of think about that. That's National Knit a Sweater Month, which is coming up in November. But I am ready to cast on for that as well. So I will start there. I will say that like my knitting has not been getting all of my energy lately. It really is not exactly where my creative mind is right now. I think I'm getting excited about quilting and sewing and creating things, and maybe it's just the newness of it all. My friend and I were talking this week about like we don't get as excited to knit things as we once did, and I don't know if it's that the more we knit, the more the patterns look a little bit the same, or if it's just that we have knit so many things, and like I have a bureau full of sweaters and scarves and things, and I am very fortunate. I am not knocking that at all, but I am more selective about what I knit these days, especially for myself, because I don't have a lot of storage space for it, and one can only wear so many sweaters. And so every time I knit something new, I also have to think about whether I'm going to remove something old and send it off to live with someone else. And so all of that has just been sort of impacting how excited I am to cast on for things, or like exactly, I don't know. I've just had less interest in knitting, which is not to say knitting will always be my first hobby, but it's just interesting. So one of the things that I did this weekend is I started a new quilt, and the company that I work for, Missouri Star, is doing a sew along this fall and into the spring. It's a 6-month sew along, and hang on just a second, let me mute those so that you can stop listening to my pings on team chat. we are starting a sew-along to honor the 250th anniversary of America and quilting traditions for the last 250 years. And so I decided to go ahead and sew along, mostly because I wanted the challenge of doing the project. You know, our country is in a place right now. I'm just going to say a place. And I'm not feeling super rah-rah about the country. That said, I do understand the privilege that I am afforded to live here, and I wanted to try the quilt, and my decision was basically made that I would make the quilt, and then I'm going to donate it to Quilts of Valor, which is an organization here in the United States that gives quilts to veterans. So I decided I would just go ahead and make the quilt because I'm going to have a great time learning how to make it, and then I will donate the finished product. Anyway, so this weekend I pulled out all the fabric that I showed you last week, and I worked on the first block of the quilt. This month there was only one block, which next month there are going to be a million blocks. But this month there was only one block. It is the center block of the quilt, and the block is called Mrs. Smith's Favorite. If you haven't quilted, there are a million different blocks, and many of them are formed of similar elements, but basically what happens is you just arrange them in different ways, and all of these blocks have names. They've grown to have names over time, and at one time newspapers used to publish these block instructions. Anyway, so this is called Mrs. Smith's Favorite, and this is the block that I made. So I am using Stonehenge fabrics. These are from Northcott. They are all marbled fabrics. I think I talked a little bit about it last week, where they are like somewhat textured and just give a little bit of 3D effect to it. So this is my first block. I'm really, really enjoying it. Some things that it took me a little bit to make, and I did have to use the seam ripper a few times. Some things that I am very proud of are that my chevrons, all of those lines match up, and I still have all my points even around the center square. And that is definitely a technique that I have been working on to sort of preserve those points and not sew over them. So they are sharp and precise, and I am really, really pleased with that. The part that I am still not 100% on is I still do not sew 100% quarter-inch seams. And the way you can tell is, and this probably just needs a lot more like a really hot iron as well, but the way you can tell is that the block in the center of the quilt was something that I cut and then sewed to all the other pieces, and you can see it is just ever so slightly puckered because it is ever so slightly larger than the blocks around it, because so the finished block here is supposed to measure 12.5 inches by 12.5 inches, and mine measures 12.25 by 12.25. So somewhere along the way I'm off by a few threads in a bunch of my seams, so it's just ever so slightly smaller, but I'm really pleased with how it looks. And so that is what I accomplished this weekend. I did not end up starting a second quilt because this took me a couple hours yesterday afternoon to kind of cut all the fabrics and get into all the piecing. And so I am really, really pleased with it. And I will put it aside till November now, when the next, this is a monthly sew-along, basically a block of the month, which doesn't mean you'll only be making one block a month, but you'll only be making one sort of kind of block a month. So next month is pinwheels, and I think I counted, and I have, it was 32 of one, 16 of another, and 4 of another. So that's a lot. So that's 52 blocks that I'll be making next time. There are some tricks and shortcuts. I will not be making all of those individually, but there is just going to be a lot of sewing and pressing and cutting and repeating next time. But this one was only one, and so now I have to wait until next month comes out. And so I think I'm going to start another quilt in the meantime, and I will bring some of that to show you next week because I haven't gotten into it yet. And I guess I don't know how much I'll have to show you next week. We'll have to see how much time I have next weekend, because my guess is I'll probably be doing the first step of most quilts is a lot of cutting. For this one, actually, I only just cut what I needed for the blocks this time, and that's not always something that I recommend, but there were cutting instructions for how to cut for the entire quilt, and I just decided I wasn't going to spend a whole day cutting for the quilt. I was going to do it, at least right now, a little bit one at a time. That means next time I will have a lot of cutting to do to get all the material for all of those. So next time we'll have to see how much time it will take me to kind of work through some of those. But yeah. So I cut and sewed, and it was about 2 to 3 hours, and it was, other than when I had to use the seam ripper, it was delightful, and I'm really pleased with what I accomplished. So the other thing that I finished, but not finished, is I finished spinning the singles for my current spin. This is Lorelei. It is by Fat Cat Knits, and it is a Polworth blend, not a blend, it is Polworth, and I am really pleased that I have the singles finished. And actually, I plan to get started applying on this evening. So this is a spin that I plan to finish this week, and then I'll pick something else out from the stash and get started on it. I am really pleased and very excited about this spin. This is kind of fun colors. It's like greens and blues and teals and then a bunch of reds and purples. It actually would be super fun to knit it into holiday socks because I think the colors would be fine for that, kind of reds and greens. But I think it's going to be a really fun spin, and that will be for the shop. So I will be finishing that up this week. So I think those are my craft goals this week. Miles' second sock, more of the blanket, more sewing, more spinning, just more of crafting. So I think that's all I have for you today. I know it's a short one, but I think that's about it. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you are enjoying the changing of the seasons wherever you are. And I wish you well. And until I see you again, I will say happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sewing, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.